Hello and welcome everyone to Building Productivity Mindset with Sagar Amlani, moderated by Kalpesh Raichura, sponsored by Red Bricks. Hi
Good
Kalpesh.
morning, good evening, Sagar. Very good evening. And it's good to be back as promised to all our audience every Thursday, 5 p.m., where we're going to be back with a session on building productivity mindset.
Absolutely.
Great. So
So,
very good evening to one and all, who going to join us and be here. And Sagar, I think on a good note. It'll be good to begin with, talking about what we discussed on the 15th and the 23rd of August, where
mhm,
we started talking about what is productivity, what is productivity mindset, and what are we going to deal with. So do you want to do a recap of productivity and define productivity?
absolutely. Why not? So, productivity is a state of being able to create, particularly at a high quality and high speed, which means if you are productive, you're not only busy, but you're actually focused with the end goal in mind. You're producing quick results, you're producing high quality product. So, as we said in the first session and the second one, productivity is the sum of efficiency multiplied by effectiveness. So I repeat it again. Productivity is equal to efficiency multiplied by effectiveness. So you need to be effective as well as efficient enough.
Very good. Wonderful, Sagar. And I think that's beautiful. I think I love the way it said that about producing high quality and at a quick speed. So, Sagar, while I want to, I'm very curious and I want to go into the depth of the topic. But what I want to do is to share the screen with our audience and just tell them about the 10 sessions that we've planned. So, if you can just give me a moment, I'm going to share the screen and tell our audience on what are the things that we're going to cover as a part of this whole episode. So if you all can see, team, every Thursday evening, 5 p.m., Sagar and me, we are going to be live and we're going to talk about different topics that matter to all of us and leaves us enhanced in the journey of building productivity mindset.
Kalpesh, could you help me zooming it a little bit because the white space is taking away the area there?
Sure.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's much better. Perfect, Kalpesh. So if you can just scroll down, I'll read it out for everybody. So today we are going to talk about standardization improves productivity. 3rd September, we are coming up with 5S as an approach. On 10th September, creating accountability. And 17th September, a topic which is very close to my heart. Can quality be inspected? And on 24th September, FTR, first time right. And on 1st October, we are going to talk about, yeah, that's fine, Kalpesh, perfect. Idiot proofing. And later, coming on to 8th October, we are reaching at data intelligence because without measurability, nothing can improve. And going forward on 15th of October, we have motivation as a technique, followed by employee engagement on 22nd. And the last topic in the series, autonomous work culture, which means if you have followed us for 9 Thursdays, the 10th Thursday, your organization will become an autonomous work culture because you have created a building productivity mindset within your teams. So if you are watching this, watch it with your team. This is a team building activity. This is a organizational culture setting activity. This is a productivity activity. Tell your bosses, tell your seniors, tell your managers, bring it on, have a live session. We are going to give you live examples, tools, tips, techniques, everything that we have. We are going to share it with you. So we are looking forward for you to join us.
Great. So, wonderful, Sagar, and I should acknowledge our audience. Danny, thank you for joining us from New Zealand. Adij, thank you for joining us from Romania. And I think productivity mindset, as we say, Sagar, is universal, right? It's
Yep.
not something which remains with people into a particular area. It is something that is important when we talk about manufacturing industry, the place where I come from, service industry, and and I think that's something which is so critical in today's dynamic age.
Sure.
So what I want to ask you, Sagar, and what I'm curious about is the word productivity mindset. What does it actually mean?
Okay. So let's deep dive by taking one example on it. Rather than explaining productivity or being productive and a productivity mindset, let's understand and put it into a live case scenario. So let me take an example. Two companies, company A, company B. Now both the companies have exact same production capacity, exact same machinery, exact same manpower, and they manufacture same product, which means I'm trying to create something where they've got same manufacturing capacity, same infrastructure, same manpower, and the same product which they produce. And finally, I'm saying they both sell it at the same price. So the differentiation here is only about producing highly productive material or high quality material or high quantity material. So I would say being productive or productivity. Now the result is they both work for the same days for same number of hours. So I'm keeping everything constant in this design experiment, and all I'm saying is that let's say it's only the mindset which is different. So the result, company A produces 200,000 pieces, company B produces 300,000 pieces. The difference, the productivity mindset. Diving deep into that example, Kalpesh, now I've told you that they've got everything same except for the mindset. Now, what was that mindset, or what was that thing which was different in them? So, the basic thing which was different in them was the culture or the system where they had the right list, everything was happening on the same structure. And the other company which was not productive, they were working on a policy called who shouts the loudest. I'm sure you would have heard that phrase, who shouts the loudest. Okay, so let me just share some more things on that. Have you made a to-do list, and in the morning, maybe you wake up at 5, 6, or 7, you create a to-do list, and in that to-do list you write down a few things that you want to accomplish during the day. As the day passes by, you get certain emails, you get certain phone calls, or maybe somebody comes to your cabin. Of course, the new normal, we are in a virtual world right now, but in the normal world also, people can come and knock in your cabin or just come to your desk and give you some task. What you do, you note it down in your to-do list, or if the person is a superior and somebody who is shouting or yelling or pushing his way to you, you take that up and you start doing the work. At the end of the day, you feel you've done a lot of work. You feel that you have done immense work, but the output, the to-do list is still there, which means just being busy or just being productive using who shouts the loudest will never make you reach to your goal, your target that you have decided, which means productivity is when you produce a significant amount of something by using the least resources. Remember the 80-20 rule that we talked about, Kalpesh?
Yeah,
80% of the results should come from 20% of your work. Sounds interesting, isn't it?
very interesting.
So, the point which I'm trying to say is using the same amount of money, resources, infrastructure, company A could produce 200,000 pieces, and company B could produce 300,000 pieces. The difference was they had a productivity mindset, they had a focused goal, they knew what they have to do on that day, and for 1 month, they were focused to get the maximum output. While company A might be struggling, theoretically or hypothetically on arranging things, getting the right raw materials, arranging the manpower to come at on time, maybe arranging the lunch or the tea, coffee. Every small thing impacts when every minute you count and every minute you value. That's what productive mindset is. Every single decision, every single department, the whole organization is together in the journey. We say it, but we don't do it. Most of the people say that we have vision, we have strategy, we have goals, but is that communicated, and is the action speaking that? Like we say, action speaks louder than words. People write a list of quality objectives, but when it actually comes to deliver it, are you actually doing it in your action? Is that available in your action? So that's about it for productivity mindset. Being productive is just being busy, whereas being productive or having a productivity mindset means you're actually delivering quality product, quality time, and having the right mindset, and learn to say no for things which are not within your focused goals.
Perfect. Very well said, Sagar. And just for our audience, Vishwas, thank you for being there. We can read your comments, and we will pick up the comments as and when we are doing the discussions. So thank you for highlighting. Yes, the 80-20 rule is the Pareto principle, which is applicable and which is a very significant part of productivity when we talk about productivity and productivity mindsets. So. So Sagar, I have the next question, and you just spoke about being productive and productivity mindset. What is a productivity mindset?
Very simple, but yet very complicated, Kalpesh. So thank you for asking that question, because our topic is building productivity mindset. Now, everybody talks about productivity. Everybody talks about waking up early in the morning, doing morning affirmations, having a to-do list, and so on and so forth, using the right tools. But when it actually comes to a real case scenario, by giving an example again, I would love to give examples, because people need to understand the difference between being productive and having productivity mindset. So let's say again, a company A, which is an MSME, a family-owned business, announced to their sales team, we are going to increase our sales target from next month. Everybody is excited. Everybody is, boosted up. They're motivated. They're inspired. And the next very day, they start forming their strategies in the sales team, and everybody starts working out to form groups, and work out to how to increase sales, and they start approaching customers. But at the end of the month, all they have is firefighting, fatigue, and reduction in their motivation. What went wrong? Was the team effort not there? Was the team not organized? Didn't they have orders? Everything was there. The thing that they missed was the supplier that they are buying from was not able to ramp up. His capacities were never tested for that. The shop floor was not having adequate space to store the excess material that was being produced. The bank limits were not discussed beforehand with the banks, and banks could not give them more material for working capital. The staff at the end had a physical fatigue, because everything that they did earlier was manual, and now with increased production for increased sales order, they had to have everything done manually, which was taking a toll on their physique. Now, which means if you have a productivity mindset, the things will start from the organization, go up till your stakeholders, and the stakeholders will be involved in the journey of the company to create that symphony. Remember, I showed you the video. I've also shared it in the LinkedIn profile, which talks about the symphony, where the conductor is actually playing the tune with the orchestra, and at the same time he turns around and he tells the customers or the clients or the audience to clap with him. Now that is symphony, and that is only created when your vision, your focus is very clear, which means having a productivity mindset means you have a clear focus on your goals, and you use all your personal, professional, organizational resources to achieve those goals in a systematic, organized way.
Beautiful, Sagar. And yeah, whenever you talk about an orchestra, I think I actually just go back into the entire ecosystem that needs to be impacted and to be taken into consideration whenever you talk about taking a leap or a growth, or jump from one level to the other. So I think that helps. But tell me, the question is, how does an organization build a productivity mindset?
Beautiful question, and a very important question for the topic that we're going to cover today. To create the right mindset, it starts from individual going to the organization team and leading to the promoters or even the owners, which means the productivity mindset is not top down or bottom up, but it's a complete organizational setup approach which comes through the leadership, through the management, through the employees, and even the stakeholders, which means the first thing that they have to do to create a productivity mindset is have a discovery stage. Now, what is a discovery stage? A discovery stage is very, very similar to something which is called as gap analysis, where they evaluate the current system, set desired SMART goals. I'm sure everybody is aware what is SMART goals. I'll reiterate for them. SMART is very simple: specific, measurable, realistic, achievable, time bound, which is, smart goals. Have smart goals. The reason why you need to have smart goals is because the goals have to be realistic and time bound. Otherwise, if you set goals which are not to be accomplished or which are a very far away goal, which will take a long time, that will demotivate the employee in the long run, which means you have a bigger goal, break it down into smaller milestones, and have smart goals for each milestone. And that will make it very impactful for the journey because you celebrate small wins. So that's an important thing for a productivity mindset, which is having smart goals, keeping in mind the motivation. The third is you conduct a gap analysis. Let me share a screenshot to explain it in a better way.
So while you get the screen up, Sagar, I just want to tell Danny, thank you for participating, and we're reading all your questions. Vishwas, we're reading your questions and your comments, and we will pick them up at the appropriate time. So just be there and look at what we are sharing, and then we will pick up the questions at due time. Thanks, Sagar. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Kalpesh. So, as everybody can see, what I've done is just try to put it in a presentable way. What is gap analysis? So, as you can see on the screen, uh, the simplest way is have the right objectives. What is the current state? What is the future state that you want to go in? What is the gap identification that you have identified? What is the description of that gap? And what are the factors affecting those gaps? That could be internal factors, there could be external factors. And what is your action plan? Now, when I talk about action plan, I would like to remind everybody the naming cycle: PDCA, plan, do, check, and act. Your action plan should be having a PDCA cycle. Even the gap analysis should have a PDCA cycle, which means you plan what you have to do, you do it, you check it, and you act upon it, improve it, and get it up. So, if I have to say that the objective is to increase the annual revenue, all I have to do is what is the value, what value I want higher, which is 25%. Is there a gap? Yes, there is a gap. What is the gap? The gap is difference between the value. Now, here comes the most important thing, that what action will I take to improve the annual revenue? Will I reduce my raw material suppliers? Will I increase my product pricing? Will I improve my efficiency? Will I change some machinery? Or will I do any other cost saving parameter? Now, that's exactly is the action that the team has to take. That is the important point that everybody has to conduct. Here I've written that salesperson are not efficient. That is the standard viewpoint of every organization. But the point is, go deep dive and find out why they are not being, efficient. What is stopping them? What are the scenarios in the market? So on and so forth. Which brings me to the second slide. Have a vision, identifying all the gaps, put them into a chart in terms of strength, weakness, and opportunities, which is a SWOT analysis. Once you have done that, that brings you that once you have a gap, now you have to do that and improve them, and those become refined gaps. There will still be gaps, but they will be refined to a different level. I'm sure everybody have heard about FMEA, which is failure mode effective analysis. Using that tool also helps you to identify the threats, take the threats, take the risk, and identify and run the SWOT analysis. So I'll stop it here, Kalpesh, and going back to our topic and bringing it back to that topic where we are saying that review the goals that you want, review the available data, conduct internal interviews, have past performances available to you as a team, identify the bottlenecks and start working on those bottlenecks. And this is the most important stage, which I call as a discovery stage, which will lead the organization to standardization step, which improves and which is very critical to have standardization as the next step of discovery step. Over to you, Kalpesh.
Beautiful, Sagar. I think very well explained. And I think what I liked about what you presented, Sagar, in the gap analysis part, and this is what we always tell our clients as well. And I had a discussion yesterday with somebody very senior,
Okay.
and and yes, the first step always is about starting with that vision. The first is, why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
Once you've done that, the next thing, which is the most crucial thing, is for you to define the what.
Yes.
And that define for what is as you spoke about, what is the goal, what am I out there to achieve? And once
Yes.
I've put that goal, which is, if I use the reference from AG Lafley's book Playing to Win, which is saying
Mhm.
what by when.
Yeah.
My goal, that so when my goal is defined with what by when, is where then I actually start talking about the strategy. Now, the strategy part will always be incomplete if I do not do the gap analysis to know that where do I stand right now. And that's not only as an individual, but as an organization. And as you rightly said in your previous example of what is my ecosystem stand right now? What is my
Correct.
supplier capacity? What is my bank's capacity? What is the skill level of my people right now? I
Absolutely.
may be very aggressive and I want to go out. Do I have the right team or the skill set with the team of what they need to handle that kind of growth? So I think that's very beautifully explained on the slide that you just showed, because that's very crucial. Great. And before I move to the next question, Sagar, Danny, thank you for the invitation. And, we would look at how we can engage for sure. And thank you, for joining us from New Zealand at 12 a.m. in the morning. Uh, so great. Thank you. And be there if you can. Sagar, the next question, with productivity mindset, doing this gap analysis, uh, all that is sometimes very good to say. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how do you bring some amount of standardization
Okay.
in getting all these things in place? Like, what do you do to ensure that that is streamlined?
So, for that, it brings me to a point which says that, why don't we standardize in different ways? Now, when we talk about standardization, people have a mindset where, it talks about standard operating procedures or documentations or, too much of reading material and so on and so forth. But that's not the case, right? Documentation or standardization can be done in a very simplest way. Let me ask everybody the question who is listening right now. How many of you have experienced that you're preparing a presentation, burning a midnight lamp, or you're rushing the production team to meet the delivery schedule, or you're trying to locate a document when your boss has asked, or when you have an auditor sitting in front of you? I'm sure everybody of you have faced it. And what happens? It creates anxiety, it creates stress. What do you think, Alpesh? You're mute, Kalpesh.
I am so sorry, Sagar.
No
So
problem.
you bang on, Sagar, because I'll tell you one of the first things that I do when I meet people. I look at their desktops,
Hmm.
and with what they have there, every document or everything that they receive and which they have to refer to gets saved on the desktop.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and I think that's where your whole um, being disoriented starts.
yeah.
So I completely relate to what you're saying, sir.
So let me add to that point, which you have rightly said. I was just reading a book from Robin Sharma, the 5 a.m. book, and one of the article of Tony Robbins, which talk about personal mastery. You know what he pointed, or both of them pointed out, was very, very important. We wake up in the morning, and most of us would just walk out of the bed for either the wife to make the bed or the maid to do the bed. That first thing in the morning sets our mindset, which means we wake up, our eyes are actually seeing the bed right there, the bed not being made. And no matter what you do, there's a subconscious mind that registers. And that is very important. So, rightly said, Kalpesh, the desktop or the desk that you're working sets the tone for your work. That brings me to a point that your company's operations consist of tasks that must be completed daily, weekly, monthly, or on a yearly basis, and that should be done smoothly. Now, if you haven't standardized your process, you're inviting chaos. If your processes are standardized in terms of even saving the document, like every time when you download a document, you save it on the desktop, or that goes by default in the download folder. Why not save it in the particular folder, take 1 minute effort, find the list from the product and let it go there? And that's exactly what I also consult most of my companies for electronic 5S. I teach them electronic 5S, and it helps them for retrieval of documents, because going forward, everything is going to be 5S. Most of the time, we see that our smartphones, the battery starts getting drained because it's overloaded with lots of data coming from WhatsApp, Facebook, and Twitter, or Telegram. So fundamentally, standardization can be applied to any process, be it individual or be it organization, right from even answering the phone call. We discussed that topic, right? If I'm a righty, if I'm having a phone here and writing notes here, it's difficult. But if I have a standardization process where the phone is on my left and I'm answering it through this, it's very simple. So like even doing payroll, if standardized system is there for payroll, the HR invests less time in processing that data. So, I mean, bang on. What you said is bang on.
Yeah. It also brings me to an example, Sagar, in the current consulting that we're doing with a couple of companies. The attendance sheet for about 160 people
Yeah.
comes on an Excel sheet by the 25th of every month, and the
Mm.
payroll team has 3 days turnaround time to process that information and calculate the leaves done, not done, uh, what is pending, how much to be deducted, and calculate the final amount, and then send that to the finance team for the payoff. And you look at the manual intervention which is required, and I keep going back and saying that 160 into the data points for last 30 days, which means you're having to look at 400 data points manually for and at the end of the day, people look forward for their salary, and then if they have to go back and dispute or not get the right amount, that is something which is miserable. You don't want to do that. But
It
look at
reduces the motivation.
yeah, and I'm just saying, from a touch point, you look at the amount of manual effort, and therefore
Yeah.
then the quality check, and therefore then the control process, and therefore then the dispute handling process. So many things get connected to just this one point, which probably could be more standardized.
Absolutely. Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on,
So
Kalpesh. Yeah.
I think that's right. So what I want to ask my audience at this point in time is also that can you what does productivity mindset mean for you? What are the things that you see as concerns or challenges? Feel free and do write that here, because I think that's important. And we getting to know what are you thinking helps us also answer those. So me and Sagar at the end of this discussion are also going to sit down and reply to your comments and answer to any comments that we probably would have not answered right now. So thank you for being there. Anil Goswami, thank you so much. I think he's Anil, you've always been there to inspire us and be there on the call. So thank you for being there. Great, Sagar. So that now takes me, while we all speak about standardization and different uh, reasons, but I want to talk about the benefits. While we all
Mm-hmm.
conceptually know that yeah, there are benefits of standardization, there's benefits of productivity mindset, but let's talk about how does that make a difference.
So, for that, it brings me to a very simple point. Let's understand why standardization in first place. For that, I'm going to ask all the listeners, if you want to be a part of this, I'm going to take you through not more than 30 seconds activity. If you're in, let's do that. I'm going to open my presentation, and let's bring that excitement and take the things forward. So, what I want to do is, let's ask everybody to draw a circle, right? I did that exercise with a team of more than 100 people, and the answer was hilarious. Someone drew a circle like this, someone drew a circle like this, someone like this. Now, if I have to say everybody is right and everybody is wrong, because what I wanted is, I wanted them to draw a circle of 8 centimeter. And everybody said, oh, okay, fine, you did not give us the instructions and blah, 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 blah. Fair enough, draw the circle. And they all started drawing the circle now with the diagrams and, the scale. Somebody took the protector and started drawing, and everybody drew the circle of 8 centimeter. But let's say if it was a customer requirement, and I still say, sorry, it does not meet my requirement. I wanted a circle with a diameter of 8 centimeter, red in color. Now everybody said, fair enough, it will take a minute for us to do that. I said, hold on a minute. Choose the red color. And Kalpesh, trust me, everybody just went blank, because, this is where standardization helps. So now, as you can see, there are numbers given to all the red colors. Now, all these red colors I've taken down from a Pantone card, which means all these are red. They can be called pink, red, blue, purple, white, any color. But if you see, as per Pantone, all these are the shades of red or palettes of red, which means now when I say people that use 199C, that's when they will know what is the right product. And this was the need of standardization. This was the need where everything had to be standardized. Imagine, now we have a trouble. We all have an example where we have a trouble where the telephone chargers are all different, right? Somebody is having the C type, somebody is having the iPhone type, somebody is having 3.0 type, and we all struggle. Now imagine if all the phone companies would standardize their charger and bring out the same charging point or the same charging cable. Wouldn't it be a blessing that wherever we go, we don't have to carry our cable, we just need somebody, ask the help and get the charging? And that's the power of standardization. There is standardization available at every single point in our life. Now, for that, what I will do is, I will play a very short video for everybody to understand that thing. Let me play that video, Kalpesh.
We live in an amazing world, full of incredible opportunities and endless possibilities. But it can also be a complex and overwhelming place. When things don't work as they should, it often means that standards are absent. But when ISO standards are applied, life is just so much richer. ISO standards help to make the world a safer, cleaner, and more efficient place. From food safety to computers, from healthcare to new technologies. There are many challenges facing our environment, economy, and society. ISO can make a positive difference to all our lives, utilizing a wealth of international experience and wisdom. In today's ever-changing world, ISO stands.
So, Kalpesh, what I wanted to show everybody that ISO 9001, which everybody knows as a standard, is not just a standard for namesake, but there are thousands of standards, 60,000 standards, which are available, which makes our life beautiful, which makes our life happy, which gives us safety, which gives us standard approach to everything. Now, imagine if you would have a customer in any other country, and if you would have told him that please send me a green color car. Now, green color for him is different and green color for you is different. Now that I'm talking about color, but let's say that we are talking about USB. Now we all use computer and we all know the USB cable. Now imagine if your USB port right now that you're using for the webcam is different, for the speakers is different, for the hard drive will be different, and for the USB drive that you're using will be different. Every manufacturer would have their own standards. How easy would it be for you as a customer to experience that? That is the power of standardization. We are living with standardization everywhere, and we just don't realize it sometimes because we've got it by default. So the benefits of standardization is, or rather are, it improves clarity within the team, and that will ensure that standard processes will eliminate the room for guesswork. There is no guesswork, because the first thing that I learned in my professional career was never assume. I'm sure everybody knows the spelling of assume. ASSU me. So the minute you assume, you're making an ass of you and me both. So having standardization improves clarity. It guarantees quality because there is an optimized way to work, there is a predefined way to check, and there is a predefined system. It also promotes productivity because when you have a standard way of working, haven't we heard about legends having only one color shirt and they don't have to think about what color shirt they have to wear, and that's where they save that time. And every single minute that you save is being productive, being quality. They are willing to buy a high quality shirt because they don't have to go for many other shirts. Sorry. That will also boost the employee morale because the employee does not have to invest time in thinking how it's to be done, but he can invest his time on how fast it can be done or how better it can be done, which means standardization is giving you more time to think better, to think faster, because you have to do this task. And last but not the least, customer is happy, customer service is done at the best way because customer gets everything on time, low cost, high quality, perfectly delivered, and even the ticket will be handled very efficiently. So that is a benefit of standardization.
No, perfect. I think very well explained, Sagar. A couple of things that come to my mind, on standardization. So, it's about thinking and it's about acting. So when I say thinking and acting, a standardization, if I define that with my wisdom, is a standardization is where you've done all the thinking before. You've understood what is the requirement it is fulfilling, who is going to be using this product, uh, how is it going to be used, and therefore what are the things that you need to do to make sure your product meets the standardization. Once you've done that, what you've done is you've created the awareness about it, and everybody who is then working on getting the final product out do not have to keep thinking at each point of what do I do about it. They need to follow and they have a clear guideline of what needs to be done. And in that way, I relate back to the word that you used in the beginning. It creates that harmony. You know, today I like to share the example of Dell. I use Dell laptop, but I remember about 13 years back, I went to I went for an interview with Dell, and we were
Mm-hmm.
discussing about their customer service and the current customer satisfaction rate they have. And one of the questions they had as an organization, they're like, our current customer satisfaction stands at 99.61%. Tell me, how do we take it to the next level?
Wow.
And if I relate that back to an example of a telephone company that I used to work with, and where our customer satisfaction rate was at 90%, we used to be very happy that, oh wow, 90% is the other customers were satisfied.
Yes.
And the CEO, he was addressing the entire team, and he said, great, congratulations, I'm happy that 90,000 customers got taken care of. Currently we have about 30 million customers on our network. Tell me how much a 10% of customers mean who are dissatisfied. And we're like,
Okay.
simple, it's 3 million. Now he said, now tell me, if there are 3 million unsatisfied customers out there,
Unsatisfied.
now, that I'm just, all these examples came the minute you spoke about that standardization, and it's a clear reflection to connecting that to your voice of customers, your voice of employees, your quality standards that are happening, because these are the metrics that will tell you on what is the amount of standardization present in spirit
Absolutely.
in your organization. One is about having those standardizations, and with all due respect to
Mhm.
ISO and companies that go for that certification, but one is about going for the certification, and the second is about having that certification in spirit.
Bang on.
Yeah, great. So thanks. I think, Sagar, the whole picture is very clear with regards to what is productivity mindset, the standardization process. But tell me, the standardization, when we talk about, there are a lot of concerns which come with that. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when I'm talking about those concerns, there's a lot of dynamism, there's a lot of change. We all know VUCA world has always been there. That just that it has been coined now, and now everybody goes with there's so much of uncertainty, there's so much of dynamism. It's always been there
Yeah.
in the history. The question is, in the whole process of this documentation and standardization, does that kill the creativity? Does it bring monotony and rigidness in regards to what you're up to?
That's a very, very good question, Kalpesh. The reason why I'm saying it's a very good question is most of the people think that, the minute I bring standardization, I'm going to kill creativity. And let me tell you with 100% guarantee, it does not do that. Or even it brings monotony, it does not bring that. It depends on how you actually standardize your process. For example, just by defining a correct way of doing things, which means uniformity, but it will not 100% bring monotony. The simplest way, you drive your car every day. Does it bring monotony to you?
No,
Why?
no. In the sense, I am present. It just helps me knowing what things are where, so that it becomes so much a part of my subconscious that I don't need to be conscious about, am I changing the gear, am I starting the wiper. Uh, it's
Here I will
probably
take
about.
a twist. Sorry to interrupt, Kalpesh. Here I will take a twist. It's not about standardization where it's gone into your subconscious mind. I'm okay with that because that's the example we took on 20th. I'm dwelling on that example in one step further. The reason why it's not monotony for you is because you are having a dashboard in front of you which shows you the speedometer. There is a dashboard in front of you which shows you the light, which means there is some excitement. The same way, you can have a monotonous work or a standardization procedure for inspection, tweak it a little bit, gamify it, and ask your operators to, do it in a histogram, or maybe fill it as a Pareto, and the graph comes up when they're doing that inspection, and the dashboard comes up. That brings out the excitement. So the monotony isn't a mindset, and that's exactly what we are doing this webinar live series for, or this video series for. Break the mindset. Standardization will actually, give you more room to do more things creatively. Now, how is that possible? So let me give you one more example. Let's say there is a standard procedure for me to, produce this remote, or maybe produce this iPad, right? The thing is, I know that this is the standard way of producing it, this is the standard way of coloring it, or this is the standard way of attaching it. Now, what is the creativity that is left with me is how fast I can do it, how better I can do it, and how quicker I can deliver it. So the procedure, the process is standardized, that I have to do this in 1, 2, 3, 4 sequence. But can I do it better? Can I do it faster? Is there a new idea? And that's exactly what we call Kaizen. So there is something that is called as Kaizen, which is continual improvement. Kai is continuous and Zen is improvement, which means even in standardization, it's not the end of the road. It's the standardization to do that piece of work. And at the same time, you have a free mind to think for more creative ways of coming up with better creativity, with better ideas. And that's exactly what we will have a discussion going forward for Kaizen, or continual improvement. And that brings me to a process which is called as PDCA. I'm repeating it again: plan, do, check, and act. The day you complete that cycle, you put a block of standardization. So that means the system is blocked there, but there is a road for you to go up, which means you have achieved here, you've blocked it here. Does not mean you stop here. It means that this becomes your starting point. You do a PDCA one more time, put it here, build it up, build it up, build it up. So standardization means support for bringing your level from one ground to another, to another, to another. And that's where I say a difference between continual improvement and continuous improvement. A continual improvement is like and goes down, wherein a continuous improvement is, it goes up and down, but continual improvement is, it has a base, standardized, go up, base, standardized, and that's the difference. So the concern that people have that standardization brings monotony is out. It brings boredom. Bring dashboards, bring gamification, bring check sheets, and make it more exciting. It talks about creativity. You can eliminate that by just removing the inefficiencies and, the non-value-added activities that people waste time in doing it, and give them more time for being creative. Give 1 hour in the day to your team and leave them for creativity. Now that can only happen when you have a standardized process where you complete your work faster within the stipulated time for the given quality, and you have 1 hour to be creative. Play around, play games, be creative, have team meetings, have workshops. Who stops you from doing that? But it will only happen when you have a productivity mindset. It will not happen just by thinking about it.
Perfect. I think that's great. I think a couple of points which I picked up, Sagar, was I think I love the point of gamification. I love the part of even a little of data that you touched. That if a standardization requires calculating the data, of measuring that data, it can just be fun in the minute you either convert that into a line graph or a histogram or a bar graph, and it just starts bringing a lot more color and a lot more involvement and engagement in that. And the best is that you having somebody else do it for you versus you doing it yourself. It actually brings the ownership and accountability, which we're going to discuss later on. But I think it actually connects the dots to all the other areas that we are referring to.
Yeah.
I want to tell you, ask you one more thing, Sagar. Is standardization a very time consuming process?
Mhm.
So
My
I'm
answer, yeah, go on, Kalpesh.
so that's what. So Is standardization something that takes a whole lot of time for you to make the final product or final service? Does that cause delays?
I don't really think so, Kalpesh, because let's give one simple example of global standardization across the industries, across the manufacturers. I'm sure you all or every listener has drunk soda in their life, the soda bottle that we know, right? The cap on the soda bottle is standardized. You can use a universal opener to open that cap. The ketchup bottle that you buy have the standardized cap. Even the olden days, the milk bottle used to have the standardized cap. Now that is one simple standardization which the whole industry came up with and everybody is using till date. Now you'll be surprised to know that that cap was standardized, I think, more than 100 years from now. I don't remember the exact date, but that's what I remember, that maybe somewhere around World War II is when the standardization system started out, because they wanted to have the spare parts which could fit across all the expensive machinery. The industrial revolution that started also wanted the interchangeable parts that can be used within the machines, which are very expensive. Now, if every machine would have a separate spare part, it would become a lot of inventory. So standardization is everywhere. Every single place that we have has standardization. The simple way to do that is create a SOP. Now, SOP can be as simple as creating an SOP using a turtle diagram. Let me show you rather than just talking about it. So give me a minute and I will share a slide which talks about a turtle diagram, which is a very simple way of creating a SOP. Now here you can see a very simple turtle diagram which talks about a process which is business planning and management review process. All you have to do is, what is the input of that process? What is the output of that process? With what? So, which means what are the documents, what are the things, what are the systems you will use to run that inputs or run that process? Parallelly, with who, which means who will do it or who is the authorized person to do it? How will you measure it? Comes at the bottom. What will be the support process and how you do it? Now, this turtle diagram creates an SOP, creates a kind of a gamification. You can also add to it the KRAs, the KPIs, the scope of the process, and also the owner. Now, that is very, very simple. You can create that kind of standardization by just one simple document. Now, we all buy IKEA furnitures, don't we? Now, we all get this paperwork with that IKEA, and I'm sure every single person will read it for one time before they align or, put the whole assembly together. That is standardization. IKEA has standardized their products across the globe, across the nations, and their paper and their documents are standardized everywhere. Now, don't you follow this standard operating procedures to build that product? Yes, you do. And that's the power of standardization. That's the use of standardization. So I hope, Kalpesh, that clears a lot of approach on standardization and how things would work out, or what are the ways standardization helps people and the examples of standardization. Going one step further, we all go to the car mechanic shop. We all go to the cycle repair shop. Have you seen the mechanic fumble anytime to find the tool?
No.
Impossible. He will just go pick up the tool, even if you tell him to, blindfold his eyes, he knows where the tools are. And after you finish your repair work, watch out. He will put the same tools back into that place. He does not need an SOP. That's a standardization built by him for himself. Of course, when you are in an organization where you have 40, 50 people, 100 people, you need a standard operating procedure so that the person in the first shift, second shift, and third shift work properly. Have you seen a go no go automation on a highway where they have a barricade for a truck to pass or not to pass? And that's a simple standardization process. On this road, this truck is not allowed. Now, there's no government authority standing there with a gun or a stick in his hand. They've just put a barricade. So if you want to go, your truck will be cut off. I'm sure there are many videos on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, which talks about this hilarious process. And that's a part of standardization.
Yeah.
Now we talked about the mobile chargers, Kalpesh. Wouldn't it be amazing that if all mobile chargers, all laptop chargers become standardized with their pin, all become the C type pin? Life will be amazing, isn't it? Now, do you recall we had these pins, the 3.0, which were smaller from the back and expanded from the front, and every time we struggle, which is the right side, and we still struggle, which is the right side when we use the USB. We either do it this way or we this way. I mean, the C-type cable is a beautiful example of standardization. You don't have to think which side is the right one. You just plug it in and that's sorted. So that brings me to a next topic relating to the car garage and everything. The system that they use, Kalpesh, is known as 5S. 5S is a Japanese methodology which can be applied by individuals, housewives, professionals, or even organizations to manage their data, to manage their processes, to manage their shop floor. And that will take you one more step towards standardization, right things, right place at the right time, or improve your efficiency.
Beautiful. I think what I liked, Sagar, with the examples that you said, we come across with so many small things, and I'm just being present to so many things that we take for granted. But it's a standardization. If I take a pen, and I know that with that one click, the nip is going to be out, the refill, and I'm going to be able to write. I don't
Yes,
have to every time struggle and learn how will that operate. I love the fact that you mentioned about the bottlings. You know, yes, whether it's a ketchup bottle, whether it's a soda bottle, whether it's thousands of bottles, the cap size and the same opener works on every. You only need one opener in the house. You don't need 10 openers for 10 different things that you have. So standardization, I think, if I look at summarizing the discussion that we've had today, uh, the productivity mindset probably, if I may say, begins with the thought process of looking at how do you standardize your laptop, standardize your own self, standardize organization, standardize the practices. And there are benefits at an individual level, at a team level, and at an organization level. And all probably it requires is that amount of thinking which goes that what is the final outcome or output that we want to generate, and hence at every step what will that particular thing do to ensure that we're fulfilling the final requirement. Did I summarize that properly, Sagar?
bang on, Kalpesh, bang on. Absolutely. Having the right mindset begins with the team, the organization, looking at what they want to achieve, what is their end goal, creating smart goals, sitting together through the discovery phase that we have already covered here today, and taking the next step forward. Because unless and until they know what is the gap, they don't understand where they are and where they want to be, and complete it in a holistic way, creating that mindset is still far away.
Wonderful. So, Sagar, while we have the last 1 minute for the session, um, what the next session is where we're going to talk about 5S. Do you
Yeah,
want to just give some input about the 5S before we move towards the closure for this session?
sure, Kalpesh. What I want to do is to all the listeners on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, I have one simple question for you. Uh, Give me an example of 5S in your daily life, in your organizational life, or anywhere that you have observed it. Two examples that I will share with you. The first one, which I've shared, is the garage example. And the second one, which I have shared with you, or which I'm sharing with you, is the masala dabba, which I shared with you on 15th of August. The third and the most important, and the last one from my side is we all have a habit of writing with the right hand. Maximum population in the world, approximately maybe more than 90%, is right hand. And that is why we have a pocket on the left hand side, which means you take a pen, you write it, and place it in the pocket without even thinking where that pocket is. And you place it on the left hand side. Now, that isn't standardization of our process. We don't have to think, we don't have to waste time. Where do I put a pen? Of course, on this shirt, which is a coat, I don't have a pocket because it's going to be inside the coat. Of course, I'm not wearing it right now. But if you're wearing a normal shirt like Kalpesh's, his pocket is definitely be on the left. Or if you're wearing your shirt right now, check it. It's going to be on the left hand side. Which brings me to the topic that 5S is the approach for life. 5S is the approach to be more effective. 5S is the approach for being more effective. Right thing at the right place at the right time. And 5S is not only housekeeping, but 5S is a way of life. If you bring it to your life and time efficiency and time management will just go to a different level, is my guarantee to you. So, giving you the last question, write down something that you have observed in your daily life, in your organization, or anywhere in the world, wherever you observe. Give me one example of 5S in the comments below.
Very good. And Sagar, what I would want to, urge the audience as a part of 5S is the first thing is for them to go back to their calendars and block 5 o'clock Thursday evenings for this live session. Because the minute they've blocked it, it's going to pop up and it's going to be there as a part of their reminder. And you don't have to keep it here. It's there, it's on your calendar, and you need to be there. With that, thank you, Sagar, for the amazing insights, and thank you, the audience, for being there. I think we have an engaging audience, and I'm sure that a lot of these discussions come from real life experiences. That means, Sagar, we've both had, and we look forward to hear on the learnings that you've taken back, and if any of those you've implemented. So, for any feedback, reach out to us. We're both there on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Sagar's email is also mentioned here on the slide. Looking forward to hear from all of you. Thank you once again, everyone. Stay safe, stay connected.
See
Bye.
you on next Thursday at 5 p.m. on LinkedIn Live. Check out the page Sagar Amlani and you will find the LinkedIn Live right there. Bye bye. Thank you, Kalpesh.
Thank you. Bye.